I rented the car wash bay till dawn. I didn't rent the car wash bay to clean anything. I rented it because soap is honest in ways people keep postponing. The 24-hour wash-off Fulton sits between a tire shop and a diner that never learned shame. It's 6 concrete bays, a change machine that blinks like a tired angel, and a row of vacuums that know everyone's secrets. After midnight, the place feels like a sermon you can walk away from whenever you want. The owner, who's seen too many versions of men trying to rescue themselves with coins, handed me a key and a bucket. "You got Bay 3 till sunrise," he said. "No trials after 2. That line lives taped to the change machine. I believed it because the city insists on certain liturgies. At 11:46 p.m., my phone had lit with the sentence every careful marriage learns too well. Loadout ran late, quick debrief became drinks might crash at the office. Don't wait up. Lena isn't a liar, she's a choreographer of rooms. She can persuade donors that generosity is a hobby and volunteers that gravity can be reasoned with. For 9 months we've been dignified. We pay our bills, we finish our sentences, we laugh on cue. The person who made that dangerous is Evan, the operations lead whose hands keep banners from falling and whose habit of standing one respectful step from married women makes rooms safer and husbands worse. In daylight, I admire him. At 2 a.m., my neck votes. I pushed quarters into the machine until it believed I was ready for foam. The wand shook in my hand like a microphone with bad timing. I squeezed the trigger, and the first spray wrote a white tally on the air. A stranger could have thought I was trying to get road salt off a truck. A stranger could have thought a lot of things. I liked that the bay didn't. They walked in at 12:09, their breath still holding the temperature of a lobby that forgives people for trying. Lena first, hair pinned in the shape competence requires, dress that hadn't given up yet. Evan behind her, sleeves pushed, totes slung, the posture rooms prefer when they need to believe in adulthood. He saw me first, the skill of men who carry after midnight, and lifted 2 fingers without asking for my approval. He stopped at the tape where wet concrete begins, set his tote on a stack of paper towel boxes, and let his eyes land on the coin machine like it had just asked him a question. He didn't enter the bay because decent men recognize jurisdiction by sound. "Is this where we're doing this?" Lena asked, while a ribbon of foam slid into the drain. "Bay 3 has better acoustics than my kitchen," I said. "Say it." "In an elevator," she said, because fate is lazy and cruel. 2 weeks ago, between floors and advice, quick mint, rehearsal, he stepped back. He said my name like a lock. I hated him for making me proud of him. "Do you want me to hit him?" I asked. The wand hummed in my hand like a thing that refused to be implicated. "I want you to choose me," she said. "Not rescue, appetite." Evan kept his eyes on the coin slots. He is good at this part, better than I need him to be. Men like him live by respectful distances, the exact number of inches that keep an event from turning into a scandal. I fear those inches more than I ever feared a hand on a hip. "Invite me when you're interesting," I said to her. "Not only when you're frightened, you'll be easier to love in other lighting." "I am inviting you," she said. "Now." I set the wand back in its holster. Foam tattooed Bay 3 like a weather report. She stepped under the spray with me, not caring about the mist. I put my hand at the back of her neck and pressed my thumb into the notch I've kept for emergencies that should have been pleasures. Her eyes closed as if something in her had just remembered what verbs are for. I kissed her. Jurisdiction, not petition. She answered like a day that had been a plan for too long and needed to be a person without a schedule. "Keep our clothes," she said into my mouth. "We keep our life," I said, "and stop paying interest to Mercy." My other hand slid down her side until the elastic tapped my wrist, and I stopped because Laws have a point beyond being proof. She took my lower lip between her teeth, then laughed quietly, the sound a woman makes when she wants to be generous to the little animal that keeps both of you alive. Foam drifted past us and tried to mind its business. "Do you still want to hit him?" she asked, forehead to my cheek, breath tasting like a bar that knows better than it pretends. "I want to thank him for stepping back," I said, "and I want to owe him nothing else." "That's a budget," she said. "We can live on that." I pointed the wand at the empty air and pulled the trigger, letting the foam draw circles that would collapse without consequences. The bay smelled like childhood bubbles and spite. She told me the truth I didn't earn and she didn't owe. The kiss had been curiosity dressed as courage. Stopping had been the only part she liked in daylight. Tonight's almost had felt like a door practicing her name. I told her about the loop I took around the motel I never pulled into, the key I never asked for, the laugh I let out alone in the car that taught me which version of myself I couldn't survive. Evan cleared his throat with precision. "Loadin' at 9, he said from beyond the tape, to her, not to me. "The van wants 4 backs and 0 speeches." He didn't look up because he intends to stay a person who doesn't have to lower his voice to keep jobs. "Thank you," I said, because a sentence can be 3 different things and still carry its weight. He nodded once and left with that small mercy of men who have worked themselves into employable decency. The bay returned to its sermon. "Tell me," Lena said, leaning against the cinder block where the spray wouldn't touch her, "the most damaging thing you almost did." "I almost made myself into the version of a man who thinks proof is a weapon," I said. "I almost texted him something my mother would recognize as cowardice. I almost treated your appetite like a sin instead of a temperature." "Thanks for making it a forecast," she said. I fished out more quarters and fed the machine, as if paying the coin slot might keep me from making other payments. We washed air and memory, and the corners of the bay that had never had reason to be looked at closely before. We left at 3. The diner gave us pancakes that cheated modestly with vanilla. We ate like people who plan to wake up in the same house and argue only half as much as they think they should. I slept with a calendar on my chest and a sentence in my mouth I couldn't wait to spend in daylight. 9 a.m., community center, lemons and tape and gravity learning the word please. Evan stacked tables with that modest inevitability that teaches volunteers they are not wasting their backs. I carried the other end and kept my neck employed by daylight. Lena moved through the room with a clipboard and the mouth to which busy people confess that they're tired without leaving. When she passed, she touched my wrist, daylight legal, and the morning changed its mind about us. On break, I set a foam cup of coffee near Evan's elbow. "Thank you for being the adult in the elevator," I said. "Thank you for renting the right room," he said. "A lot of men choose carpets." "You can keep standing exactly there," I said, "even when it annoys me." "That's my job description," he said, and went back to negotiating with weight. We didn't tell anyone about the car wash. We taped the Bay 3 token to the side of our fridge under the magnet shaped like a ridiculous boat we bought one summer we didn't ruin. Sometimes when the house auditions for courtroom, we go on purpose. We take quarters. We feed the machine. We let the wand draw rings in the air until we remember that lather's only job is to make what's already there visible before it runs down the drain. Sometimes she texts come and means stand next to me, while I bend a room into competence and beauty. Sometimes I text come and mean watch me be a body before I become a plan. Sometimes we invite a friend who needs to be told there are places where water decides the pace and your hands are just permits that allow you to keep up. We didn't stop admiring other people's competence. We did stop confusing it with permission. Heat is a temperature, not a verdict. Foam is a witness who writes in temporary ink but means it when it's there. We eat before we try to win. We sleep when the clock loses its manners. We put our hands on each other in daylight as if the sun still issues licenses. And when the gossip part of the city asks if we have anything to add, we say we rented sanctimony on a hose and used it to wash the air. That the kiss we confessed in front of the drain did not ask for juries. That Bay 3 is open after midnight if you bring quarters and accuracy. And that no trials after 2 is a law we keep now. Not because we're better than yesterday, but because water prefers this version of us, and we like what it does to our faces when we pay attention.